The first time I tried, it took me hours. But now, all I need to do is paint a mask, then adjust the width and depth, and finally set the number of stitches to give any of my character models a formidable, natural-looking, realistic scar. Let me show you how. What you see here is my turnkey skin shader. Basic, but convincing. The underlying skin quality stems from subsurface scatter on the principled BSDF node, leaving the 3 remaining nodes to generate minor imperfections. With these in place, the first step towards creating a scar is to create a mask. This requires a visit to the texture paint workspace. Here, I create a blank image for the mask. Then I switch to edit mode. Select the region where I want the scar, and unwrap it from the UV menu. After I switch back to texture paint mode, I draw out the shape of the scar, keeping 2 points in mind. First, I shouldn't spend too much time on the exact shape. Any detail I draw right now will be overshadowed later as I procedurally make the scar more grotesque from the shader nodes. Second, and this is important, I use a fall-off curve for the brush. This fall-off blurs the edges of the mask, which in the near future enables me to adjust the width of the scar, once again from the shader nodes. Finally, I make sure to save all images before I head back to the shading workspace. Here, I add a mix color node. Alongside a map range node, an image texture node, another mix color node, a noise texture node, and finally, a texture coordinate node. These nodes take the masking image and use it to generate the scar, leaving me a few key parameters in the process. First, the map range node, which trims the scar to an adjustable width using the fall-off I mentioned earlier. Second, these 2 nodes, which serve the purpose of scrambling the UV coordinates to make the scar more grotesque. Now, to give the scar some depth, we need a bump node. The result is a realistic scar shader where I can adjust the width using the map range node, the depth with the bump node, and the level of grotesqueness with a combination of the noise texture and mix color nodes. But I still want to add some stitches to the scar, and for that, I need one math node with its operation set to subtract. A second math node with its operation set to multiply. A map range node, and a wave texture node. The output of the wave texture is handed over to the map range node where I can set the width and spacing between the stitches. The result is then masked by the masking image through the multiply node and then passed over to the subtract node, which makes the stitches protrude in contrast to the indentation of the scar itself. In short, these nodes generate stitches on top of the scar. But there are a few things to consider. First, the size of the model. The sculpture I have here is about 3.5 units in height. My other sculptures might be different, in which case I adjust these values accordingly. Second, if I make changes to the model, I need to go back and repeat the steps of unwrapping the UV and drawing out the mask. Third, I should always be careful to draw the mask either along the vertical or horizontal direction. This orientation is the reason why the wave texture creates lines that look like evenly spaced stitches along the length of the scar. And finally, for the purpose of this video, I kept things simple by using a basic material for the underlying skin. If you want something more sophisticated, you should have a look at the tutorial where I take the time to set up a proper, realistic skin shader. As for this one, thank you for watching. And until next time, take care.